want to talk to you guys about Lost Children Archive by Valeria Luiselli. This is a really interesting book following the end of a relationship. So Ma and Pa had come together in an almost impetuous, passionate, desperate need for one another. Each of them brought their own child to the relationship, and so they formed this messy union and this family, but somehow managed to settle into the everyday intricacies and intimacies of life as a family, all the different sounds and rituals that people make together that make up daily life with one another. Unfortunately, this daily life managed to be the undoing of their relationship. It just proved to be too much on this passion. And so in this book, we are on one last road trip as Ma and Pa go towards Pa's destination before they break on their separate ways, each of them taking their respective children with them. It's kind of a sad disillusion of what had started out so promising and this family that they had forged coming apart. Ma's specialty, actually both of the parents, deal in sound documentation. They capture the everyday sounds of life and then form documents out of them. Ma's specialty and passion is based on the lost children. These are children who are separated from their immigrant parents. Either they immigrate and then get separated by the government, or the children come to America while the parents are still in Mexico. Either way, they get separated from one another, and the children are lost in the system, lost in the desert, just lost. And it's heartbreaking to think about where did these children go, and the fact that most of them die by exposure to the elements. In the course of this story, boy and girl, thinking that they're going to save the marriage and bring the parents back together as they look for them, they run away and become, of course, irrevocably lost. And I noticed myself going faster and faster through this book, almost desperately trying to find out what's going to happen to these kids. Are they going to be reunited with their parents, or are they going to suffer a fatal fate? I realized in that desperation that I should be feeling that same sense of fear for the lost children themselves. These children's lives are just as desperate, just as heartbreaking, and they feel so much fear and uncertainty and physical pain and discomfort. Our hearts should be breaking over all of the lost children, not just the American ones, but the ones that come from different places as well. It was kind of eye-opening for me. I had almost gotten myself to a sort of detachment from the news that was happening because it's just so terrible and there's just so much of it happening. How do you even open your heart and your mind to all of it? But when you close your mind, that's when you're closing yourself to the realities of the injustices and just the heartbreaking fates that these children are left to. Now, it's an interesting thing that Luiselli was able to do in this book in that she evoked this other sense of sound. Now, I've mentioned before about authors who do this really well, such as James Baldwin in the short story Sonny's Blues, how you can practically feel the jazz coursing through you, or Asia Gabel in the Ensemble, how you can practically hear the string quartet and feel yourself moving along with the string movements. Same thing here, as you travel along with Ma and Pa, as they're gathering these soundscapes, you can really put yourself in the situation and hear all of the different things, all of the different sounds, street sounds, bird sounds, wind sounds, all of the things that make up life. It's really remarkable when an author is able to do that. Another remarkable thing about this book is that even though geographically it spans miles between the road trip and between the children running away, it also very much stays still. You get the sense of these long, languid moments as Ma and Pa are recording the audioscapes, or as they're arguing over which audiobook to listen to in the car, or these long musical movements that they're listening to and discussing, or books that they're reading, or boy and girl as they're lost, telling each other stories and finding comfort in one another. It's very much a book that lives within these people, within this very static space, in this static time, even though it spans geographically a long distance. Very interesting. So it's not a book that I normally go for. Usually I go for a book where more is happening. There's not a lot that happens in this book, aside from the children running away and this relationship coming to an end. There's a lot of thought and a lot of discussion and a lot of just sitting that happens, which is not usually something I go for, but I found myself strangely drawn in by this story. So, good book, Lost Children Archive. I highly recommend it.